Welcome to the Programming Lions podcast, where we are on a mission to be more productive humans. Today, we have a somewhat mature topic queued up, but one of great importance to our audience. Guest Daniel Dluzneski is an authority and an expert in the area of security, specifically school safety. He is educated in criminal justice, spent 25 years in the Secret Service, then went on to spend 5 years managing security for the Pinellas County school system, then branched off into consulting and has written various articles and books. In particular, his book, The First 5 Minutes School Shooting Survival Guide for Administrators and Teachers. Today, we are going to talk about how to prepare for violent threats to a school from the perspective of the school, the teacher, parents, and students. So buckle up, let's get into it. Daniel Dluzneski, thank you for joining the Programming Alliance podcast. It's really great to have you on. The boys and I have had a chance to look at your impressive background, some of your interviews. We also reviewed parts of your book, but I think it would be great for our audience if you could, in your own words, give us a little rundown of your background and experience.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, boys, both Max and Will, for having me on. It's an uncomfortable subject. I understand. It's a serious subject. It's no fun talking about this kind of stuff. But my background was 24 years with the Secret Service. I was very fortunate. I was with a division called the Uniform Division. So I actually wore a uniform. And I was lucky enough to stay in Washington, D.C. the entire time. And in my division was where you had all the specialized units. You had K-9. You had the counter snipers. You had the emergency response team. You had the motorcycles, the motorcade support. You had the crime scene search technicians. So that's where I wanted to stay. And that's the division I stayed in. And I was fortunate enough, after I was there for 3 years, to be able to get a dog in the K-9 program. And at that time, our K-9 were both bomb detection and handler protection, meaning in handler protection, he could attack a bad guy. So it worked out really well. And the Secret Service allows you to take the dog home with you. They want that bonding. On the opposite end of that, let's say the military, the Army or Navy, those dogs stay in a kennel. And the handler would just have to go to the kennel to get them. They don't have that bond. They wouldn't allow them to go home with them. So I was able to take my dog home. He worked for 4 years. Unfortunately, he didn't work any longer than that. Nothing happened to him. And the service at the time, it's changed now, but it was basically what they call one dog and out. You got one dog and that was your chance. And if he doesn't work out, you're out of the program. But I got to keep him as a pet. They allowed me to keep him, and he lived till he was 13 years old. So he did, for a work dog, that was very good. And he was, yes, he was like a son to me because it was just me and him. I didn't have a wife or girlfriend at the time. So it was just the two of us. But yeah, and while I was there, I got to work in public affairs. I got to become a certified crime scene search technician. I got to work at the White House and give historical tours. So it was a great career. And when I retired during the Obama administration. I moved down here to Florida, and I was just going to retire. And after about 3 months, with an alpha personality, meaning, you're just raring to go to do something, the county opened up a position with the school system in emergency management, and it fit my resume. I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And fortunately, I got hired and was able to do a lot of good things there. Like I said, it wasn't the same as the Secret Service. However, I was able to transfer over a lot of my training, a lot of the things I learned from there to be able to make our schools safe. So I was there for 4 years. And of course, during those years, we had a lot of tragedies. You guys, I'm sure, heard about Newtown, Sandy Hook, and Parkland, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the high school there. And in Florida, after that happened, the legislature here in Florida decided they were going to have the local police or county police take over the safety and security of schools, which I disagreed with. It's not that complicated. It's just, I thought the police were more reactive. They were little enough of time to be as proactive as they could be with civilians. So I left and just started a consulting business. And, here's where I am today. And it was after Uvalde, which I'm sure the boys and you've heard about Uvalde, which was pretty much a disaster on the police end. And that's when I wrote the book. And the book is called The First 5 Minutes because FBI data shows that your average shooter in a school, that shooting lasts between 3 and 5 minutes.
Right.
That's why I name it the 5 minutes. And it's a critical time for when that stuff happens. So again, I'm not on here to sell the book. I'm not, promoting or, have some kind of backing from some companies and stuff. It's more about the message and keeping children safe in the schools and making them feel confident that when something does happen, they know what to do. And I just heard from my friend today. He said, look, it's almost like the KISS system, keep it simple, stupid. But it's basically keep it simple and survive. And lockdowns are the best thing. That's what we're here to talk about. What are we going to do in a school when a bad guy comes in? It's to lock down. It is not to run out of the classroom. It is not to fight the gunman. It is not to throw things at this person. That's not my philosophy, and it shouldn't be yours either. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, really, really interesting background. So we definitely really want to get into the school thing. That's very applicable to me as a parent, and I represent a large demographic of our audience as well, is parents, and we want to talk about that from the perspective of the school, the teachers, the students, parents, what we can do. Before we get into that, though, I find it fascinating that you worked for 25 years in the Secret Service. If I'm doing the math right, that's kind of Reagan through Obama years.
Correct.
And could you share, like, what was that like? And was there, I don't know, like, what's one of the wildest moments that you could share? I'm sure there's stuff you can't share, but like, what's one of the things you might be able to?
Usually everyone asks, who's your favorite president? And it's more like who you're comfortable with, who you get along with. Because a lot of times, remember, we're apolitical. We're not, one way or the other, Democrat, Republican, Independent. We're apolitical. We basically, like they say, you hide against the wall. We kind of disappear. That's the way our security runs it. You don't want to show it outwardly. However, while I was there working at the White House, I would have to say my opinion again was Bush Sr. He acted just like your grandfather, very friendly, very open, always had a smile, always would come over and say something to you. Barbara Bush, same thing, just like your grandma, same thing, wanted to take care of you, always asked how you were doing. They were just very open, friendly people. And yeah, I loved working with them. So yeah, they would be my favorite presidents. Stories, okay, one of them was I'm working on the South grounds, and the South grounds of the White House is what's closer to the Washington Monument. So that to get a range where you are, we're closer to the monument on the South grounds. And it was about probably October, something like that. It's kind of cold in Washington, not real cold. And I'm standing out there and I'm in uniform. And the president comes out with the dogs. They had little Springer Spaniels that they would come out and they'd let him run on the grounds. And he walks out there. He walks, I don't know, probably 50, 100 feet away. And here comes Barbara Bush. And she's got a sweater in her hand. And she walks directly over to me and she throws it in front of me, says, "Here, it's too cold out here. Give the sweater to the president." And walks away. And I'm standing there with the sweater and I'm looking around, like for the camera, what is going on here? And it was funny because one of the Park Service guys, if you ever watched on any of the things on the White House, you'll see people dressed in green, and they're all the landscapers and Park Service people. And one of them was basically in control of the dogs that would, take care of the dogs. And he comes running over to me and he's laughing. And he goes, "Dan, they're playing a joke on it." I said, "No, I'll take the sweater over to the president." And that was just their way of doing that. He also, the president would go around. He loved playing horseshoes. And they had a horseshoe pit next to the West Wing. And he would ask for a fourth. And if you're standing there and you're, "Come on, I need a fourth." And you're supposed to be on post. You're supposed to do the job.
Yeah, you're supposed to be protecting the president.
The president asked me to play horseshoes.
Holy smokes.
Okay, Sergeant, what am I supposed to do? So, and there were guys, they allowed, if they were on break or something, yes, they would, and they play horseshoes with the president. I mean, it was really kind of neat.
It's a unique experience that not many people get that much close sort of interaction with the president of the United States. So with that, why don't we move into our main topic, which is sort of school safety. And I think, Will, you wanted to kick it off with sort of a primer question, right?
What do you believe is causing the active shooter trend?
Okay, good question. And I'm sorry that you feel that way, that it's a trend. But you're absolutely right, Max. It does seem like it's a trend. Now, again, this is not my lane. Again, I'm telling you, this is just my opinion. Number one, it's the mental health crisis. We don't have enough mental health facilities, mental health people to deal with this. The second thing, and I know you guys are not going to like this, social media. social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all these social media programs, they give bullies and people with bad intentions the idea that they can just say whatever they want to anyone with no consequences. So what happens is a lot of kids who are more vulnerable get bullied, and it just creates more and more tension. And over time, these kids say enough is enough. I'm going to react. It just builds up and builds up and builds up till finally they can't take it anymore.
But then
So-
let's move into more about sort of what schools, teachers, parents, and kids can do.
What are some good resources for a school to use and consider kind of? Are there things that they could stay away from doing?
Also, good question, Will. A lot of times, what your instructors and administrators will do, you boys know what a knee-jerk reaction is? The knee-jerk reaction is basically an emotional response that you want to get something done quickly, whether it's right or wrong. I'm going to do this because I think it's the right thing to do. And a lot of schools and administrators will think technology is the way to go. And what they'll do is they'll either bring in metal detectors because they got a grant, so it doesn't cost much money. And they'll think that the metal detectors will make us safe. Or they'll say, we're going to bring in different kind of cameras and that'll make us feel safe. So to me, it's kind of a backwards way of looking at it, because what keeps us safe is humans. It's the people, it's the teachers, it's the SROs. Those are the people who keep us safe, not technology. Technology does not keep us safe. Technology is what I like to call, it's just security theater. It just looks good. And you boys, I'm sure you probably thought about it. I'm sure you've seen enough games and videos. If someone is crazy enough that they want to get into the school to hurt somebody, a metal detector is not going to stop them. It's not going to stop them. It doesn't. It's not going to do anything. It just makes you feel good. And it makes parents feel good. Oh, you got metal detectors. Oh, we must be safe. No, you're not. It's
So
people.
Are there good training programs then for schools to take on? Like, are there things you would recommend and not recommend maybe in that regard for them to consider?
Lockdowns have worked for a number of years, even before Columbine, because everybody kind of, since Columbine, we've done this and we've done lockdowns, and let's try something different.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try run, hide, fight. Let's try options training, where we'll give the teachers an option of what to do. Let's try Alice or Alert or Alive or whatever acronym you want to think of. These are marketing companies that market and pressure schools to say, hey, you don't want your kids sitting in a classroom because they're sitting ducks.
Yeah.
We want to be reactive. We want you to do something. We want you to inform. We want you to counter the individual, talk to the individual. All these programs, they're wrong. And in fact, they're dangerous. No one, and I'm talking to you boys, because I know your boys are the ones who would be in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
No gunman has tried to shoot through a locked door. They won't do it because it takes too long.
Right.
So the idea that when you guys are in a lockdown, that you're sitting ducks, you're not. You are in the safest area that you could be in, because help is on the way. The door is locked. They're not getting in. Window blinds closed, lights off. You silence your phone. You do not listen to any announcements. Don't listen to any announcements, even a fire alarm. Don't listen to that. You do not open that door. I don't care who's pounding on that door. You don't open that door. The teacher does not open that door. If you're caught in a hallway, in between class, wherever you're caught, you either dive into another room that is not your room, or you go to the bathroom. Get into the stall, stand on the toilet, close the door, be quiet. You're going to be safe. It's going to be okay. And I don't mean to scare you. You're going to hear bad stuff, but you're going to be okay, because I understand some rural areas, it takes time, but I guarantee you those police are going to be there within 8 minutes. They're going to be there. And I will mention this now because I advocate for it constantly. Armed school resource officers. They're the best thing your school can do for you guys and for teachers and your parents, because these are highly trained individuals. They are not there to arrest you or harass you. They are there to protect you. They're an advocate for you, your parents, and teachers. And like I said, highly trained. to do this stuff, to carry that firearm and protect you guys. So I always advocate schools and parents and teachers push that, armed school resource officers.
Yeah,
We're
we have one of those guys at our school. He always patrols around every day.
yeah,
And how do you get along with him? Good?
Yeah, he's really nice.
Good. That's I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
in fact, maybe we'll spend a few minutes just talking about our kids at school. I think they've done in a lot of ways a nice job, but it would be nice to kind of unpack that with you. Before we get into that, one of the things I've heard you mention maybe in a couple of other conversations is what you alluded to here is kind of like layered security, meaning
Yes.
you have security kind of at the entrance and then at the doors, and as you said, like every opportunity you can have to delay someone getting through that layer gives you time to have
Exactly.
people that
And
know what they're doing respond.
The number one thing I want you boys to remember, if it's not happening, and also you, Matt, during classroom time, that door should be locked. That class door should be locked. That means you're already one step ahead if you have to go into some kind of lockdown. So keep the classroom door locked. But let's back up. Multi-layered security. So you start with fencing. Your fencing should be at least 6 foot high. When you come to your school, there should be only one entrance during school time. Now, I don't mean arrival, dismissal, lunchtime. Once school starts, you have one entrance for a person to get in. When they come in, they have to go to the front desk. There should be a way that it forces them to go to the front desk where they're checked out. If they were allowed in, they're either buzzed in or you get a key card and let them in that way. Okay. Otherwise, they go back out. Okay. So you layer it with one entrance, the fencing, one entrance in, and then you got a locked classroom door. So it's going to take them time to get to wherever they need to get to. So yeah, very important that we have this multi-layer security.
I'm also curious from a teacher's perspective. So we kind of talk kids like, hunker down, make sure the door is locked, and teachers, what recommendations do you have for teachers in these scenarios?
It's Matt, it's tough for teachers because when I first did these podcasts, I talked to teachers and administrators only. I mean, that was the audience I wanted. And they would come back to me and say, look, Dan, our hands are tied. We're getting orders from school board, from superintendent, from principal saying, no, we are going to run drills this way. So their hands are kind of tied. They're like, look, I understand. I'm frustrated, but this is what I'm told to do. I don't want to, ruin my job. I don't want to ruin my job. So they're in a bad position, in a frustrating position because the liability is put on them. They're the ones, the teacher who you're going to listen to find out what you need to do. Do we need to run out of the room? Do we need to stay where we're at? What are we doing?
They're wrangled a bit by policy in
Yes.
these cases.
Yes.
And this is kind of a controversial topic, but I've seen some states or areas where they'll allow teachers to have firearms in the classroom, and in a lot of cases, it's unknown who has them or who's gone through the training or whatever. But what are your thoughts on that as a deterrent or a protection?
Yeah, I don't want to make too long of a subject because we could talk about that alone for 15 minutes. At first, I was against it. Being former law enforcement, I don't want to go into an area where there could be another gunman. I have no idea how to identify that person. Are they good guy, bad guy? I have no idea. Are they supposed to have something on them, some cloth, coat, jacket? I don't know. However, and this was recently on LinkedIn, there are a number of states with their legislatures that are trying to pass a bill to allow teachers to go through the training to be armed in the schools. Now, if you're former military, former law enforcement like myself, and you would feel better to going through that training, okay, as long as they got the amount of training at least up to almost the police officer level.
Sure.
The thing behind that is, though, again, I would want them to requalify with that weapon, minimum 6 months. I'd like it better than that. But, when you get down to the nitty gritty, these teachers don't have time to do anything. How are they going to have time to let them go away for 6 weeks, 12 weeks to be trained and then say, hey, I got to requalify my weapon. I can't come in today. Another substitute. We've got a massive problem in the country with teachers leaving the job for all kinds of reasons. But there are states, Texas, Utah, there's a couple others on top of my head that are allowing teachers to be armed. The other side of that is a perception. If I'm a bad guy, and I know this county or this town allows teachers to be armed, am I going to pick that school or am I going to go over to this other county where I know they're not armed?
Right.
So sometimes it is perception.
Hmm.
There's no data. I'm sure that hopefully there will be one day data where you've got armed teachers in this county, unarmed in this other. Are there more incidents? Are there more
Hmm.
threats? Are there more weapons being shown up? I would hope the data comes out and proves one
Yeah.
way or the other. Then I'd agree.
Well, I've got another question, and then we'll kick it back over to the
Mm.
boys. But my question is, as a parent, and which I am, of these two lovely children that are in school right now, one elementary and one middle school. But as a parent, what are some questions that I should be asking my school or administration about their security?
Well, I guess we can back that up a little bit, have the parents talk to the kids and find out from them how they're running the emergency drills. To
Hmm.
say, when you have an emergency drill where there is a bad guy with a gun in the school, what are you guys doing? What is, as a child, are you doing? Are you locking down? Are they having you run out of the classroom to a designated area? Are they having you throw things at a gunman? Find out. I mean, I hope they don't have them where they're saying,
I
"Oh
hope
no,
not.
you're supposed to fight the guy with the gun. You're supposed to tackle him." Like, what? So again, parents,
Serious.
listen to your kids, and don't, no argument. Just listen to what they're saying, and then if a red flag goes up and your stomach's kind of churning, going, "What? They're having you do what?" Then go back to the school and just say, "I've talked to my children. I've got some concerns. When you have a gunman in your school, what exactly are you doing for these drills?"
Mhm.
And when they run the drills, they're supposed to tell the parents some kind of notice, email, something saying, "Hey, we're going to run a drill such and such day at such and such time, just to let you know," because there still could be the option. And I'm not saying the drills are traumatic. They could be. I don't think they are. There's been a bunch of studies that just came out about these drills are not traumatic. But if you have something you disagree with, you do have power. You can talk to the school, obviously. You want to know their concerns. You can get together with a group. Facebook groups have all the groups in the time. Go in front of the school board. You got 3 minutes. You can read a page and a half in 3 minutes. Tell them your concerns. If that is not getting you anywhere, bump it up to the legislature, your state legislatures. Look, you're a voter, you're a constituent. You want to talk to them. This is what's happening. And if you get the power of a group, more than 10, more than 20 together saying, whoa, we disagree with how this is being done for our children. It's dangerous. We don't want them doing these drills.
Mhm.
That will, because as you know, parents have the power now with a lot of the stuff that's going on to make changes.
So for kids, what advice will you give them?
Perfect. That's the question I wanted to hear. Now, I don't care if you're in elementary, middle, high school, wherever you're at. Number one, you see something that you feel is wrong. You hear a kid talk about weird stuff. Maybe they're talking about weapons. Maybe they're talking about guns. Maybe they're talking about they hate their teacher. I don't mean just, stuff like, "Oh, I hate this teacher." I mean over and over again, stuff that is becoming too typical, that they say this all the time. It's okay to say something to your favorite teacher, whoever you trust, the SRO, and just say, something's going on with Bill or, Johnny or whatever, and just tell them that you have these concerns. You're not snitching. You're not doing something bad. You're not doing anything wrong. It is okay. It is your school. You want to be safe. You want everybody else there safe. So if there's something weird, you're going to know. You're going to feel it in your gut. You're going to be like, that doesn't sound right. I got to talk to people about that. The other thing you can do, and I know they don't do it so much in elementary school, but will in middle school and when you get to high school, you easily can be on a committee. There are some, I've been on LinkedIn where they're talking about these committees, these safety committees with students and teachers and SROs that all get together, and the student has a representative there or more than one on these committees, these safety committees, where you can make suggestions and they will listen to you. The other thing is your school, and I'm not saying picking on your school, more than likely your school during the school day is going to have a door wedged open or unlocked, and someone's going to know it.
Mhm.
And just look for those open doors, because I'm telling you, the majority of these gunmen, these active shooters, are either former students or current students. They're watching your school. They're watching what happens. They're seeing you when you come, go, what doors are open,
And they know
what
the doors.
gates are open. They know all this stuff.
Mhm.
So if you walk around and change the dynamic, change the game, lock those doors. Okay. So that is something you can do.
Yeah. Okay.
Great advice. I want to shift for a moment into technology.
Mhm.
I'm curious from your perspective, are there any emerging technologies that you've seen that you're optimistic about?
Truth, I wish I could say yes. Not yet.
Fair.
I know everybody talks about AI. Oh, AI this and AI that and AI this. AI means a lot of things to different people. There's nothing out there yet. Now, maybe 5, 10 years from now, maybe when we're gone, there will be something out there. But right now, the problem I had, and even when I was in, they had that same thing. These companies, they want to make money, obviously, and they're pressuring you. I get emails. Hey, we've got this technology on, put it on your phone. You press a button, it calls the police, it locks the doors, it does this, it does that. And then when you put it in practice, it failed. Because schools are such a vast area of different grade levels, you have mentally challenged kids, you have autistic kids. I mean, it's something that there's no one solution. There's
Mhm.
no one solution. Now, you will have companies that'll say that. Look, what's it called? OmniAlert. I mean, they're all over LinkedIn all the time. They're a weapons detection company
Yeah.
that is supposed to detect that you have a weapon on you. It's like, okay, maybe in their scenario, my main thing is, look, if someone comes to me as a technology company and says, we have a third party independent study that says this,
Mhm.
I will listen. Maybe it's not the technology, it is the humans that run it also, you have to deal with. But the whole thing is, it's still the humans we have to deal with. They're the ones that have to push the button. They're the ones that have to tell you what to do. Not yet. We're not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Well, hopefully, we'll continue to see evolution that gets us there in terms of different technologies. Let's shift into our school, and I'd love to have the boys just tell you a little bit about some of the layers of protection that they have at their school.
Basically, at school, we have fire drills where we go outside and yeah, and then like we also have lockdowns where we stay in our class. We lock the door and then we close the blinds on our window and we basically just hide in the corner until it's over. We have this thing. It's like a beam. It's like a metal beam, and then there's like hook plate things. We slide it below the door, and then we like spread it out to make it where the door can't even open if you did unlock it. We have something like that in there, and then we turn the lights off, put down the blinds, and then we hide on the wall where if you did look in through the door, you cannot see.
Right. Good. That's
And
good.
what else? What else do you guys have at school?
We also have an officer named Tim who normally patrols around the school, like looking and watching. So, yeah, and then normally actually,
And he's a cool. Just to add in, he's actually a really cool guy, but he's really well trained, armed security officer that patrols the school, and he's very active and he does a great job. I
Now
mean, I've been there. He's walking around. He's always around. He's friendly, but like he
Scary.
seems to
Scary.
always be around.
That's all right. Now, is
Yeah.
he in the elementary and middle school, or
yeah,
Yes.
it's wherever it's like the
It's a combined.
elementary, and then the middle school is like on the side right by it,
Mhm.
and he
Okay.
just walks around the school.
Our school has two entrances because it's a K through 12 school.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
two main entrances, but in both of them, there's an entrance area that you go into that you have to be buzzed into, and then there's locked doors that get into the school from there. And so there's, like, as we talked about, layers. I think that's a decent protection, and so they have to be buzzed in each way.
Yeah. Except
Yeah.
for in the morning. In the morning, you don't need to get buzzed in. All the doors, like for 15 minutes when you're waiting to get in, like, then there's probably at least like 7 doors in total, like to go into the school. All of those are then unlocked for everyone to go into.
Mhm.
sure? Yeah.
So,
I get it.
yeah.
Anything else? I got one other thing I can add, but anything else, boys, that you can think of security wise?
Well, normally when we're in class, we normally actually just leave the door open. We never lock it. It's
Mhm.
normally always open if like a teacher needs to come by or like a student or something. So it's always open, and we only close it like once or twice every day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
Um,
see and encourage them to keep those doors locked, and closed and locked. I would
Mhm.
encourage that.
Okay. Yeah. And then and other than like during the actual school day itself, not in the morning or when we leave, the only all the doors are locked except for the one that goes into the office.
Okay.
Well, the one for 6th through 12th and the one for K through 5th. And then each of those have a door to get into the office and a door to get into the hallways
where the students are.
All right, good. Well, let me ask you guys, have you ever done a lockdown drill during lunchtime?
Yes. I remember last time we had a lockdown during lunch, we had to hide in the corner.
Of the cafeteria,
Yeah.
and those doors can be locked.
Yeah, they can.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
And I was just curious because we in Florida, and it may be all states, but in Florida, we weren't allowed to do a lockdown drill during lunch because I got back, that, oh no, the kids have to eat. They have to have time to eat. So we never got to do a lockdown drill during lunch. And I was always afraid
Mhm.
some shooter was going to pick up, oh, I'll just go at lunchtime
Yeah.
because they don't know what the hell they're doing. But
It's a weak spot in the schedule. Yeah. The other thing that I'll add that we invested in at the school, and the boys, you may not be fully aware of this, but we invested in a protective layer on the glass. There's a lot of glass. Our school was purchased from Motorola at one point, and so there's a decent amount of glass in a few areas. Kind of tagline is that it will save you 4 to 5 minutes because it's so difficult to get through.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I've used it in my schools here that had, or the glass is already there. It's like, well, I'm not going to replace it. It costs too much.
Mhm.
And yeah, they put the film up and, they do the videos where it shows, the bullets may go through, but it won't break the glass. And,
Mhm.
to tell you the truth, it does work. It will slow one down. You just want to
Mhm.
slow that person down. So yeah, I agree.
Sounds like we have some good measures at the school. We might encourage some thought about the doors being open or closed during class hours, but
Yeah.
otherwise we got some decent measures in place, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, you do. And I'm very glad that you're doing lockdowns and you're not doing some other weird stuff by running out or throwing things at a gunman or whatever. So I'm very glad.
Yeah. I don't understand who would run out and come in just with a book and try to hit someone that has a gun.
Yeah, just throw their dictionary at them.
Well,
I need you guys on some of my other podcasts. That's for sure, because you would be a good advocate for lockdowns only.
well, yeah, and I think what Dan mentioned is there's some training out there that is giving some false direction.
Yes.
So we gotta just be aware of that. Anyway, so hopefully our cast can get out to people and help people to be more aware of that. Rapid fire, boys. This is our rapid fire session. Let's go.
Okay. Excluding us, who is your idol?
Oh, my dad.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Invisible.
Okay. Coolest invention in your lifetime?
Oh my gosh. To tell you the truth, even though I'm not supposed to say this, I tell you the iPhone is pretty cool.
Have you ever been stuck in a restroom stall without toilet paper?
No. Fortunately, no.
Good for you.
Would you rather fight 1,000-pound duck or 1,001-pound ducks?
Oh my gosh. Probably the little guys. I just start kicking them around and stuff. I probably fight the little ones, get them out of the way.
Right.
I like that.
All right. Would you rather die to a great white shark or a volcano?
I can tell you the truth. Probably the volcano.
That is it for the rapid fire.
Oh, good. Hopefully I passed.
I think you did. Yes.
With that, why don't we call it a wrap for this session? I think we learned a lot. Our listeners hopefully learned a lot. And what I would like to kind of wrap with on my end is Daniel has a number of resources on his LinkedIn page, which I'll drop in the description. He's also got his book, which I mentioned earlier, that I will also link into the description. So I'd encourage you all to buy it. We're going to get a couple copies for our school and some friends that are in the school systems around here. And of course, I think you do some consulting outside as well. And so I just want to make sure that everybody's got access to that. So we'll have all that in the description. Daniel, any closing comments, words of advice for the Programming Lions community?
Just what I always say usually at the end of every podcast is keep yourself safe. If you keep yourself safe, you're going to be able to help and save others. Don't do anything dangerous. Don't think you're a hero by doing something. Keep yourself safe in a dangerous situation. You're going to help others. Also, which I've mentioned already, I encourage armed school resource officers at all schools, at your schools, because they are an advocate for children and parents and the teachers. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's a sensitive topic, but incredibly important one. So we appreciate your time and expertise, and this goes a long ways. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe, like, comment, share. It really makes a difference for us. Thank you. Until next time.